Burr. Winter's here, guys. We live in Canada. This is what happens. Okay, great topic. Real estate investing can suck. It totally can suck. I remember I can go through many stories as to where it has sucked over the years. We've dealt with floods. We've had more than one flood. We've had several floods. To the point where, we've had floods in vacant properties. Tiffany talks about that story all the time. When it was minus 30, we got a phone call from the neighbor. The neighbor called us and said, there's water pouring out your front door and all the windows look frozen. That was the phone call we got. So, it was only luckily 5 minutes away. We jumped in our vehicle. We headed over there at 10 o'clock at night, middle of winter, and it's minus 30. Actually, I think we headed over there at like 6 o'clock at night, and it was winter and minus 30, and it was dark. And we go into this house and we open the door and we walk in, and there's a couple inches of water on the floor. The dishwasher line busted off, ended up filling that whole level. It was a 4-level split, and this was the second highest level. It filled that whole level with water. It drained down the stairs to the 3rd level, drained down the stairs and through the floor into the basement. This kind of stuff happens. And of course, all the water, it kicked out the power, and then the furnace wasn't running, so it was cold in there and it started to freeze. That's just one example of what can happen in real estate investing. Luckily, insurance fixed it all and the house was better than new afterwards, but that wasn't a fun process to go through. And Tiff talks about that all the time. That's one of the points where we were like, I'm done. Why are we doing this? Why are we going out in the middle of the night and it's dark out and we're dealing with these kind of things. Real estate investing can suck at times. So what I want from you guys, okay? Because Tiff's not with me today, so I need your help. I want to know from you, what things have you dealt with that suck when it comes to real estate investing? And let me just preface all of this by saying that today's topic is not negative. It's a very positive topic because we're going to really get into, okay, yeah, it sucks, but what do we do to get over that? What do we do to make it positive? What do we do to make sure that we don't quit and we don't give up? And that's really the whole point of tonight, okay? So, but before we get there, we need to come back to reality and realize not everything is rainbows and unicorns, and sometimes it sucks. So I'd be curious to know, what things have you dealt with in your real estate investing career to this point that has made you at points think, why am I doing this? What have you dealt with? We've dealt with, I talked about one of our floods. We've had a fire in one of our units too. And a tenant was living there, and we had to deal with moving the tenant to another property, and we had to deal with all of that. We've had, vacancies at times, when the vacancy rate has been a little bit higher, we've had to deal with lots of vacancies. That sucks. Sean, trash property and tenants disappeared. Absolutely. That's a part of this business. We've dealt with, I will say we've dealt with well over 1,000 tenants over the years. And we've dealt with maybe a handful of times where that has occurred, where, the tenants did not live up to their promises. Maybe the tenants did trash the place. We've had to deal with that maybe a handful of times. Karen, a departing renter destroyed with a hot saucepan. Okay, all right. And hit it during final walkthrough. Didn't catch it till 2 days after the new renter moved in. Interesting. Okay, drug dealing, hoarding tenants who wouldn't move out, Melanie. Squatters who destroyed property, Cheryl. Yeah, these are the kind of things that happen, right, guys? They can happen. You can do your diligence on your tenants. You can do all the right research on them when you're qualifying them, but you're still going to deal with issues at times. I know that, Tiffany takes care of most of our property management stuff. So there's been a few times where, we've had to deal with tenants that promise one thing but don't deliver, right? And they give you stories of things that are happening in their life and it's not really true. We've had a couple tenants lie about certain things, and we've given them, we've given them space because of that. We've given them allowances because of that, and then we found out that it was all just a lie. That kind of stuff sucks too. So yeah, you know what, guys? Let's talk about it, because these things happen. I had neighbors in a property that were screaming and yelling every night. My tenant had to call the police. We had that in one of our properties too. Diane bought my first property in Calgary, got hit by that hailstorm. Holy crap, that was a big hailstorm, wasn't it? And a lot of investors were dealing with that in Calgary. And for those of you across the country that don't know, Calgary, Red Deer, Edmonton, that corridor is one of the top hail capitals of the world. We get more hail in this region than anywhere else in the world. And that was an event that doesn't happen often, but to that extent. But yeah, Calgary dealt with that. Deb, a seller's daughter attempted suicide. Wow, that's unreal. Had to replace roofs on short notice. Yeah, guys, these are things that happen. It's reality. It's what happens. But tonight we're going to talk about how we can be positive through this, how we can get through these things, how we can still manage to keep our properties instead of giving up on them. This is really an important topic, because we talk about this all the time. In real estate investing, you have to be in it long term. If you buy a property, you renovate it, you flip it, okay, fine. You make a little bit of cash, but that's not really real estate investing. Real estate investing is long term. And the way wealth is really created is long-term buy and holds. That's a fact. Okay, you can make cash, you can make an income off of doing other things, but long-term buy and hold, that's really where the wealth can be created. And we're going to be talking about that later. I'm going to share with you some numbers, some important numbers that go to show how this happens, and how when we look at this stuff and remind ourselves about how we're winning, that is very, very important to keep us going through this whole process. Okay, good. So let's see, lots of bad things. I've seen a lot of comments about that, but let's not focus on the bad stuff. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff that can happen. Even just, hey, COVID, right? We don't want to talk about that forever. We're sick of hearing about it, but things like this happen, and you're a real estate investor, and how's this going to affect my property? How's this going to affect my tenants, my rents, and my cash flow? And you go to the coffee shop and you meet with your buddies and your friends, and they're talking about the market and how the market's down and how the market is this and the market is that. And you know what? At times you just get sick about talking about the market, right? These things happen. That's a fact of life, and as a real estate investor. But how do we stay positive through all of this? So 3 points. Guys, 3 points we're going to talk about today. 3 things that I think are extremely important when it comes to real estate investing and staying in this long term, because that's what we need to do. So 3 points. Number 1, let's get into it. And number 1, yes, Melanie, it's all worth it. I'm in it for the long haul. That's what we want to hear. That's what it's all about. We have to be in it for the long haul. We don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. There's nothing better we could be doing with our time, with our money. It takes time. It's true. So it's the fact of life. It's the way it is. Yeah, you could win a lottery, but what are the chances of that happening? Let's bet on something that's a little bit more solid, and something that can reap some benefits down the road, right? Awesome. Yes. Focus on what's working. That's right, Melanie. Karina, thanks for joining us. And Harry, your friends talk about golf. Yeah, sometimes that golf game is positive, sometimes it's not, depending on the day, right? Yeah. Okay, so what do? 3 things. Number one thing that we're going to talk about today, and these things aren't in order. It's not like this is the most important thing because it's number 1. But number 1 thing we're going to talk about today that I think is extremely important, that we think is extremely important through this whole process, is to celebrate your wins. Now think about that for a sec. Sometimes we focus on the negatives. So let me give you an example. Let's say you own 10 properties. Let's say you have 9 of them filled with tenants, good tenants, but you have 1 vacancy out of those 10 properties. Now, what are you focusing on? Well, you need to focus on that 1 vacancy because it needs to be filled, right? But where is all your mind power going? Where is all of, yes, I'm okay, honey. Thank you. Where is all your energy going? Where is your mind spending its time? Spending its time on that 1 vacancy. Now, again, the point is here, yes, you need to spend time on that. I'm not saying you don't. But remember that 9 out of those 10 are filled. 9 of those 10, you have good tenants. 9 of those 10, you have people that are cash flowing for you, that are helping you to cash flow. But sometimes we get stuck on the 1 out of 10 that we might have vacant, and that's all we think about. So there's going to be a lot of little wins that you're going to be having through this whole process of real estate investment. Okay? There's going to be times where you're actually sitting down with a potential joint venture partner. That's a win, guys. There's going to be times where you, as we talked about in our boot camp, you direct a conversation towards real estate and they start asking you questions. That's a win, guys. There's going to be times where somebody says, hey, can we go for a coffee and we can talk about this? I'm interested in doing something like this and I want to learn more. That is a win. What about the time where you do have that vacancy and you finally fill it? That is a win. Okay? These things happen. You're going to have a lot of wins through this process. Yes, you're going to have the downs. We talked about that already. But you're going to have wins too. So what happens when you have those wins? Let me know if this is making sense, guys. Let me know if this if this whole line of thinking is making sense for you, okay? But you're going to have wins. But what do you do when you have them? Do you just forget about them? Do you move on? You know, sometimes we got caught in doing that where we didn't celebrate the fact that we had some wins. You know, maybe it's your first investment property. What are you going to do to celebrate? What are you going to do? Plan it now. Plan it now. Maybe it's your first joint venture partner and somebody actually says, yes, I'm in. I want to invest with you. I want to do this. What is your plan to celebrate? Start thinking about that now. What am I going to do when I get my first joint venture partner, somebody that's going to qualify for a mortgage for me and write me a check for $100,000? What am I going to do? Am I just going to deposit the check, move on, start looking for another joint venture partner? No, we need to celebrate this. You know what? I'm going to give you an example. So this is back... Well, this isn't far back. This has been happening for years. But, you know, Tiff and I go to a real estate event, and we've been at hundreds, if not thousands of events over the last 15 years. And sometimes going to those events, and some of you with us tonight are going to agree that they can be a little bit stressful. You're meeting new people. You're starting new conversations. You're turning conversations towards real estate, just like we talk about. But you know what? Sometimes when you're doing that, it's a little stressful. You know, like maybe you're not the type of person that is outgoing. Maybe you're not an extrovert. You're more of an introvert like me. Maybe you are a little bit shy. It's stressful to be doing this kind of stuff, even though you know you have to do it. You're doing it anyways, but it's a little bit stressful. Well, you know what we used to do after these events? We had a little bit of a routine. One of our favorite restaurants, one of my first jobs as a teenager was working at Earl's. So some of you in Western Canada, you know what Earl's restaurant is. In Eastern Canada, I don't think it's as popular out there. There's not as many. But we made it a practice to, after we went to this networking event, even if it finished at 10:30 at night or 11 o'clock at night, on our way home, we stopped at Earl's and we ordered a glass of wine and we chilled. We relaxed. We had a glass of wine. We kind of de-stressed. We talked about the event. We talked about what went good, what went bad, what we'd do different next time. Sometimes we didn't talk about the event at all. Sometimes we just talked about regular life stuff. But you know what really helped me? Going into that event, I knew I had something to look forward to afterwards. So whenever you have something that is a bit negative, something you don't want to have to deal with, but you know you have to. Maybe it's a tenant that, you know what, you're evicting, or maybe it's something that you don't have to want to deal with, a renovation of some sort, and you're just going to go there and you're going to do the work, get it done. What do you have planned afterward that you have to look forward to? Think about that. If you have something, if you can think of something, if you can make it a practice to plan something positive for after to kind of reward yourself, that will help you get through these down times. Okay? That will help. So me looking forward to going and having a glass of wine at Earl's, that helped me get through it. I was like totally pumped. I'm like, yeah, I'll do this. You know what? It made the whole night so much better because I knew I had something that I was looking forward to at the end of it all. And we were celebrating. We were celebrating the fact we got through it. We did it again. We were consistent. This is what you need to do. We were meeting new people. That was a win. That was a win. Okay? So here's the thing, guys. 2 points out of here. Number one, remember to celebrate. You get a win, whatever. Make fun out of it. Remember, guys, the name of our company is Investor Life. That is not just the life you're looking forward to. That is a life you have right now as an investor. You know, our tagline that goes around our logo is where investing meets lifestyle. There's a reason for that, guys. There's a reason for that. Because while you're an investor, you still have to have a lifestyle. Because if you don't reward yourself, if you don't celebrate your wins, if you don't do anything fun, the negatives and the downs of this business are going to take you out of it. What do you think? What do you think? It can. It's what happens. We see it left, right, and center. Celebrate good times. Come on, Harry. Exactly. I wanted to name tonight's session, and I wanted to play that song, but I can't because it's copyrighted. That's one of my favorite songs. In fact, our wedding day, the day Tiffany and I got married, I stayed at my best man's house, and his dad played that song, Celebration, Celebrate Good Times. And so that's what I think about. It was a good time. So absolutely, you have to. That's number one. Celebrate. Make fun of it. Plan something good. Have something to look forward to. That's where investing meets lifestyle. That's where your life as an investor can be rewarded. And yes, you're going to be rewarded much bigger down the road when these numbers start making so much more sense and you start, cashing in those checks and paying out your joint venture partners and doing all this stuff. Absolutely. Absolutely. But this is the thing. If you don't do that along the way, if you say, I don't want to spend the $10 or I don't want to spend the $20, I don't want to go and, I better just get home. I got work in the morning. You can make all these excuses, but celebrate it. Have fun along the way. Okay? That's point number one. We got 3 points tonight, guys. So point number one is celebrate your wins. Okay? All right. So I'm just going to have a look at your comments. Are we getting it, guys? Yes, we're getting it. Fun tradition. Absolutely. I like the reward idea. Cheryl, you have to reward yourself. You know what? You have a good conversation with somebody or you make a good post. Just reward yourself for some of this good stuff that's happening. And if you do that, it makes this business so much funner. Trust me. Stacy, we usually go for dinner and red wine. So that's awesome. Hey, way to go. Good. I can't sing it, Karen. I cannot sing the song I was going to start, and you don't want to hear that. And you know what? I got to say, okay, before we get to points number 2 and 3, Corey, I don't agree, or I do agree. Don't just move on to the next problem. Take the time to smell the roses along the way. Absolutely, Corey. If we don't do this stuff, we won't be in it long enough to reap the benefits. Before we get to points number 2 and 3, I'm looking at my screen here, and in the background I see these pictures. And so on this side of me, that's me and Tiffany. It was one of our first trips to Puerto Vallarta. We were celebrating. We were celebrating the fact that we had, back then, we had gotten a couple of joint venture partners, and we had started buying properties, and we thought, let's go. Let's do something fun. And we went to Mexico, went to Puerto Vallarta. I think it was like the 3rd time we'd been to Mexico, but first time to Puerto Vallarta, and we absolutely loved it. So that's what that picture there is. This picture has nothing to do with celebrating, but I gotta show it. This is our little nephew. This is our little nephew, Rio. And I love this picture because, let me tell you the story. So have a look at that picture. So, any of you that are parents that have kids, know that once the kids are quiet for a little while and you don't hear them, you start wondering what are they up to? So we went downstairs and we saw Rio, and he was eating lipstick. So he had one of Tiff's lipsticks and he was like chomping down on it and got it all over his face, like you see in that picture. And yeah, super cute, super cute. So Tiff, or I think I grabbed him, and Tiff said, I gotta get a picture. So I'm holding him up, and Tiff is snapping this picture at the same time. And he doesn't know at this point whether he's in trouble, whether we're laughing at him, whether this is fun, or whether he's in trouble and gonna get a spank. He doesn't know what's happening. So anyways, we keep that picture around because he has like that look in his face where he's not sure what's happening. Yeah, something's up. Means something's up. Yeah. Super cute. Okay. So anyways, now point number 1, guys. Celebrate your wins, okay? Make a pact right now with your partner, with your wife, your husband, whoever's doing this with you in real estate, that when you get these wins, even if it's just something small, you're going to celebrate something small. It doesn't have to be go on a vacation. It just means do something positive, something fun that you both like. A glass of wine, go out for dinner, a cup of coffee. It doesn't matter what it is. Just make sure that you have fun along the way. Okay, that's point number 1. Point number 2, and this is a big one. If you've seen our YouTube video that's actually entitled "Real Estate Investing Sucks," this is what we talk about in that video, and we go into greater detail than we have time to do today. But I'm gonna touch on it because I think it's really important, and I'm gonna look for your guys' feedback. Okay, we're gonna do some numbers here. We're gonna walk through some numbers because it's this kind of thing that keeps you interested, that keeps you going when it comes to real estate investment, even though you have those down times. Okay, remember the theme of tonight is real estate investing sucks. So what do we do to make sure it doesn't suck that bad? Okay. All right. Yes, Todd, maybe open one of those bottles of whiskey that I've been saving. Absolutely. Why not? Wait for a good win. Plan it. My suggestion, Todd, plan it. Say, hey, when this happens, when I get my first joint venture partner, when we buy our first investment property, when we buy our next investment property, when we get our next property from negative to positive cash flow, when we get our next mortgage approval, whatever it might be, when these things happen that are wins, celebrate them. Open that bottle of whiskey. Absolutely. Mortgage pay down is point number 2. Mortgage pay down. Now, why is this something we're talking about? We all know we get our mortgage pay down, our tenants pay down our mortgage. But the reason that we're talking about this, guys, is because this is something we forget about. Every single one of us at times forgets about mortgage pay down. We focus on cash flow and we focus on market. What's happening? Is my equity going up? Is the price of the property going up? Is the price of the property going down? What's happening in our market? These are the things that we end up focusing on. But one of the biggest wins we can have in real estate investment is mortgage pay down. Okay, but we forget about it. So here's the thing. Sometimes it takes a few years to start seeing that mortgage being paid down, right? You know, the mortgages are designed so the first several years you end up paying vast amounts of interest and low amounts of principal. And then the farther you get into the mortgage, eventually it switches and you start paying more principal than you do interest. But once you own a property for 7, 8, 10 years, you start noticing that mortgage value going down. You start noticing that more money is going towards principal than in interest. You start noticing the years of amortization left have gone down significantly. Think about it. If you have a 25-year amortization, 10 years in, you're down to 15 years. 15 years now all of a sudden doesn't seem that long, and you're going to have a fully paid off property. So these are the things that we forget about. And I'm going to share some numbers with you. And I want you guys to think about this, okay? And I'm curious to know, because sometimes when we go over these numbers, it can help us to realize the benefits we're getting that sometimes we forget about. So I'll give you an example. We have one property that we've owned since we bought in 2005. It's a condo, a townhouse condo in Edmonton. And way to go, Harry. Just calculated today your mortgage pay down $14,000 in a year. Absolutely awesome. But you know what? Sometimes we focus on what's the value and what's the cash flow. And we forget about the fact that we just made $14,000. Hey, Harry, $14,000 on one property. Now, if you have 5 of those, that's $70,000 that you can make in 1 year just by mortgage pay down. Forget cash flow. Forget the market. That's awesome. That's awesome. So way to go, Harry. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So one of our properties here, we bought this property back in 2005. I believe we paid around $90,000. I don't remember the exact amount. Okay, properties were cheaper back then. I get it. That's not the point. The point is we paid about $90,000. It's gone up to about $220. It's probably worth about $170 right now, something like that. But you know what our mortgage is at? Our mortgage is at $27,000 and change right now. So when I look at that mortgage statement and I see I only have $27,000 owing left, and I see that my mortgage is going to be paid off in 5 years, and no, hold on. This was as of December 31st. So another 8 months has gone by. My mortgage is going to be paid off in 4.5 years. Okay. Did it take 15 years to get there? Yeah, it did. But it's going to be paid off in less than 5 years. This type of stuff, when you start looking at mortgage statements, now they usually come in sometime in late January through February. That's when our mortgage statements come in. Spend some time celebrating. When they come in the dead of winter here in Canada, you have something positive to start thinking about, okay? You have something positive to start thinking about. Wait for those mortgage statements to come in, because you're going to see how much has been paid down in the last year. You're going to start seeing how many more years of amortization you have left. That number is less every single year. You're going to start seeing the fact that right now we're living in the lowest climate in pretty much human history when it comes to interest rates. You're seeing a lot of positives right now on your mortgage statements, hopefully. So have a look at those guys. Start looking at them. Start figuring this stuff out. Now, I got a question for you. I'm going to quiz all of you, okay? And I want to see some answers. And don't look it up on your phone, and don't Google it. Don't go to a mortgage calculator. I'm just curious what you immediately think of in your head, okay? Let's say you have a 30-year amortization on a new mortgage. And I don't care the principal or the value of the mortgage. It doesn't matter, okay? It can be anything, but it's 30-year amortization. At what point during that mortgage, those 30 years, do you think, put in a number, At what point during those 30 years do you think that you finally start paying more principal than you do interest? Okay, throw some answers in here. I'm curious to know what you guys think, because this number surprised me. 30 years you're going to be paying off this mortgage. At what point are you paying more principal than interest? 5 years in, 10 years in? Does it take 20 years? What do you think? Just put it in a number. It's okay if you're wrong. It doesn't matter. What do you think it takes before you start seeing that balance out and you're paying more principal than you are interest? Okay, so I see 17, 5, 18, 15, 15, 14, 15. Throw in some more here, guys. I'm curious to know. Okay, at what point does it switch over where you're paying more principal than interest? Remember, at the beginning, you're definitely paying more interest by far. Maybe 2/3 interest and 1/3 principal. But at what point does that switch over where you're starting to pay more principal than interest? What do you think? 10, 9, 7, 10, 9, 7, 15, 15, 12. Awesome. Awesome, guys. Okay, so on a 30-year amortization, here's the answer. Here's the answer. On a 30-year amortization, it takes 100 months. That works out to 8 years, 4 months. So think about that. Within 8 years, now your mortgage payment, your tenants are paying more principal than interest. That's when you start to see that switch on your mortgage statement. It's 8 years, 4 months on a 30-year amortization. Okay? Now that's pretty cool. But again, it's showing the time it takes. It takes 8 years, 4 months. Once you own a property for 8 years, 4 months, you're going to notice, and look at any amortization schedule, you're going to see this. It's right at that mark, 100 months. That's where you're going to start to see that. 8 years in, you're paying more principal than interest. That's a positive. That's a positive. You start spending some more time looking at your mortgage statements, it's going to keep you positive. When real estate investing sucks, look at your mortgage statements. This is the whole part of real estate investing that we forget about sometimes. We think about the value of the property, whether it's going up or down. We think about how much cash flow we're getting. We sometimes forget about how much money we're making every single year on mortgage paydown. Now, I got another question for you. What if it was a 25-year amortization? I want to see some answers, okay? Same thing. What do you think it is? At what point? Remember, it took 8 years, 4 months, 100 months in total for you to be paying more principal than interest on a 30-year am. What about a 25? Okay? I said, how long does that take? What do you think? Put in some guesses. Yeah, Todd, exactly. It's certainly better than the 15 years, right? At the 8-year mark, you're starting to pay more principal. This is a positive. This is a total positive. Okay, Tammy, you're guessing 6.5. 6.5. Ryan says 4. At what point in a 25-year amortization do you think you're starting to pay more principal than interest? No cheating. Don't look it up. 6 years, 7 years. Okay, remember it was 8 years, 4 months for a 30-year am. What do you think it is for a 25-year am? 25 years, I still think it's 5 years, Victoria. Okay, Joan, 7. Harry, 7.6. Victoria, 8. Cheryl, 6. Yinga, 7. Okay, guys, here it is. Here it is. You're close, but on a 25-year am, doesn't matter the principal. Okay, in today's current interest rates, you're going to start paying more principal than you do interest in 3 years, 4 months. In 40 months. Once 40 months has passed by, now your payment is going more towards principal than it is interest. That is a positive, guys. This is something we forget about. This is something we don't think about. These are numbers that we need to know. These are numbers that we need to have in front of us. These are statements that come in every single year that we need to highlight. We need to show off that these are things that are happening in our real estate portfolio, where that's when it switches, where we're paying more principal than interest. So these are positives, guys. And you know what? Every single year in February, when these mortgage statements start rolling in, I'm opening up those envelopes. You better believe we're going to celebrate. You better believe we're going to go out and have dinner. Or we're going to do something fun, because this is a time of year where I'm scanning those in and saving them in Dropbox or in Google Drive or whatever. And I'm highlighting them because I'm seeing another year has gone off my amortization. I'm seeing another $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 is paid off that mortgage. I'm seeing that I see more principal going towards interest. These are positives. Okay? So mark that on your schedule when these start coming in. These are the things that we forget about as investors. Okay? So yes, Linda, 3 years, 4 months, and a 25-year AM, that's when you start paying more principal and interest. Okay? Awesome. So that was point number 2, guys. And point number 3. Point number 3 we're going to talk about. We've heard this said a million times. And you know what? Tiff, when she did the message for this post earlier today, she said, we're not going to talk about it. She said, no, we're not going to bring it up. And I said, are you kidding me? We have to bring it up. And this is point number 3. Do you have any guess what it's going to be? Point number 3 as to when real estate investing sucks, what keeps us going? Okay, put it in the comments. I know some of you know what I'm going to talk about next, because we talk about it all the time. It's super important to define, and we have to know what it is, period. Yes, Victoria. Absolutely. Andrea. Yes, Adele. Wine. Tammy, yes, wine is important too, okay? Yes, Jazz. Awesome. It's your why, okay? Bottom line, we repeat it because it's necessary. We talk about it all the time because you have to. This is the most important thing. If you don't do it, you don't define it, you're screwed. It's a fact. It ain't going to work for you. Simple as that. You're going to get in, you're going to get out, you're going to say this sucks. Real estate investing sucks. Didn't work. Corey and Tiffany said it would work. Didn't work. Why? Did you define your why? Probably not. Okay? That's a fact. So, new Corvette, Robert. Yes. Yes. That's a good way to celebrate, right? That's a good win to celebrate. You know, maybe that's your goal. Once I get my 10th property, I'm going to get a Corvette. Once I have $50,000 in mortgage pay down, this is going to be my goal. You know, once I have my first joint venture partner, we're going to go on a little holiday. You know, these are things that you should start planning now. Yes, Jim, Barb, your why. Absolutely. We talked about this in our boot camp. We talked about this over and over on the day 4, our Thursday of the boot camp, over the past couple of weeks ago. And it's so important that you need to define it. You need to go down more than one layer. You know, we don't want to just catch ourselves and say, you know, I'm doing this for my family, and leave it at that. You know, who in your family? And why are you doing it for them? And okay, you're doing it for that reason. Well, why are you doing it for that? You need to start digging down. You need to define your why. You have to, you know, you should, it will help you if you put it in front of you, if you make a collage, if you write yourself a letter. We talked about all those things during the boot camp. If you do these things, you know, 5 years from now, you know, in October 13th, 2025, today is October 13th, 2025, and I did it. And describe, what is your life going to look like 5 years from now? Or October 13th, 2030, and I did it. What does your life look like? What's different than what you have now? That's what defining your why really means. And guys, if you don't do it, this won't work for you. I'm telling you that right now. Okay? There's no way to sugarcoat it. There's no rainbows. There's no unicorns. It won't work. You have to do it. It sucks. Yes, for some it might be emotional. For some it'll be a ton of fun. You know, what golf courses do you want to golf? What kind of car do you want to buy? You know, who are you doing this for? Some of it's for fun, some of it's emotional, but define your why. Okay? Because when these bad things happen, when real estate investing sucks, you need to have this stuff in mind. All right? Good. We got it, guys? 3 points we talked about today. 3 points. We talked about number 1, celebrate your highs. Celebrate the fun. Remember, investor life, where investing meets lifestyle. You have to have a lifestyle during the whole point or you'll quit. You'll give up. It happens. There's crap that happens. So make it fun along the way. Celebrate your wins. That was point number 1. Tesla, Harry. Tesla's pretty cool. Yeah. I've never driven in one. Never been in one, but yeah, they're pretty cool. For Elaine. Missing the flower shirts, eh, Jazz? Yeah, I only have so many. I need to get some more, I think. Yeah, so point number 1, celebrate the victories. That's point number 1. Point number 2, guys, was mortgage pay down. Pay attention to it. Celebrate it. Look it over. Make sure that you open up those envelopes when they come in. Make sure you see what kind of gains you're making that you forgot about all year long. Super, super cool. At what point, too, your principal starts being paid down quicker than your interest, or more than your interest. Okay? Only 3 years, 4 months. I'm a 25-year am. And point number 3 was focus on your whys. Focus on your why. Dig down 7 layers, at least. Okay? That's our 3 points for today, guys. That's our Tuesday training. That's our Tactical Tuesday. That's what we wanted to share today. Things that get you through those crap periods in real estate investing. Things that get you through those times when you just want to give up and quit. There's no doing that here, guys. There's none of that. Every single week we're here in Fearless. We're going to keep you going with another topic. Stick with it. Be with us. And next week's going to be really cool. We're actually going on a road trip, Tiffany and I. We are going from here in Edmonton. We're going down to Calgary for a few days. And then we're heading into BC. And I'm not sure exactly our schedule and where we're going to be and at what times, but we'll let you know. We'll be posting it in here. We're hopefully going to arrange to meet up with you guys here in Fearless and have some kind of meetup. And we're hoping to do a dinner as well with our Ignited members, both in Edmonton, Calgary, and throughout British Columbia over the next few weeks. So stay tuned as to dates and times. Hopefully it's going to work out for everybody. I'm glad to hear that, Karina. Your brain is running with ideas. Absolutely. That's super cool. Yes, Melanie, we're going to be in BC within the next week. We actually have, we're going to be filming a bunch of videos down in the Vancouver area next Tuesday. And actually, we're going to be doing our live, our next week's Tactical Tuesday, we're going to be doing live down in Vancouver. And we're going to be filming a bunch of other stuff down there while we're there. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. So we're going to be there by Tuesday within a week. So hopefully we'll get to see you guys. And we'll, as far as dates and times and locations and all that stuff, we will definitely keep you apprised. And remember, everything east of us, we're planning to do that in the spring. We're going to have to wait till the spring to head out east. But hopefully you guys are rocking and rolling out east as well, and we'll get to see you next spring. Yes, awesome. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us this week. Our Igniteds, we will see you over. Let me just don't go away yet because I have one other announcement possibly that is kind of cool. So just give me 1 second. Hey, Tef. Okay, I just need to wait for Tef.
Yes.
What am I saying for Friday?
We're not.
Okay. Times and dates and all that coming.
Now I have to say
There's
hi.
Tiffany.
So, hey, guys.
Yes. All right. Okay, so yes, that's it for now, guys. We will see our Igniteds here in about 10 minutes at 6 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Eastern. And so we'll see you shortly over in our Zoom session. And great to see you all, guys. Thanks for joining us. And remember those 3 points. Okay? Super important. Take care, guys.